Hello, Sanam. Hello, Leo. Happy Monday. I hope you're having a great day. Yeah, this is Taufik, and Lynn will join us in a minute so we can start our weekly meeting with all ladies. Hello, Leo. Oh, I love your rings. Yeah, good. You're good. You don't have to show your face. Love you, sister. Yay! Lynn, can you see Leah with
Yeah,
her finger?
I don't see Leah at all. Wait.
Leah, moving her hands. Look, she's moving her hand.
Okay.
We're happy Leah is here. Hello, Sanam.
Oh,
How's
great.
it?
All we need is Lasita and we're ready.
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hi, honey.
Sanam.
How are ya?
How are you
Lynn, I
doing?
wanted to share a quote because I didn't want to when you were mentioning the recent news, I remember Ted Koppel. I always remember this, where he said, "Cancer changes your life, but not the outcome."
Of course.
Yeah.
So if you
beautiful.
keep
Thank
that
you.
in mind, and
Beautiful. Thank
there's
you, honey.
like a great
Good.
notion. A friend of mine, her son has sickle cell disease.
Oh,
And
Okay.
so many, like with all
terrible.
these type of things,
Yeah.
I've had students with sickle cell. I know how.
yeah. And you think like people, we have a tendency to feel, and I remind myself of this too, like, why me, but why not me?
That's exactly it.
Like, why should I be exempt from these experiences?
Why should any of us be exempt? It could happen to anybody. My attitude is that it could happen to just about anybody. Is that Lasita, Tofi?
Yeah, this is Lasita. Hi, sister
Okay,
Lasita.
then I'm ready to start. I'm not waiting for anybody else.
Glad to have you.
Wow.
Hello, Lasita.
Hi, and we have
honey.
Leah
How are
here.
you?
How exciting to have Leah here too. Yay.
Isn't it wonderful?
The best. Love you, Leah. Okay, go ahead, Lynn.
Okay. So today, as we all know, because how could you avoid it with me bothering you all the time? Today is World Food Day. And at Lynn's Kids meeting, we all discussed World Food Day. And we all talked about activities we're going to do. Now, it's not a matter of having an activity on World Food Day. It's a matter of what do you do every day. So last meeting, I didn't open with Rosen. I opened with Vinood Badhanka, who read Song of Hunger, which had inspired me to be a hunger fighter. Yesterday, because of today's meeting, because I know this is Lasita's Good Monday, I wanted to make it so that I could be here when Lasita could be here. So Tofik and I took bags filled with sandwich. We also made a video about World Hunger.
And I watched your video already.
I could never, ever not make a video because World Hunger is in me. But my point is here that we just gave out food, not far from here, because I didn't want to take a chance of going too far, because I'm a little bit nauseous, pre-chemo. So, I want to stay in the vicinity. And gave out some bags. We didn't go on top of the people. We certainly didn't take any pictures. We gave a sandwich because of the Privacy Act. We gave a sandwich. We gave water and a fruit, because that's really the basics, the staples. There was no money passing hands. There was nothing else. So, and we got pictures, wonderful. Tofik will be the last part of the meeting. He's going to show you some of the wonderful things. Then I'm going to switch to my tablet. But right now, I am on my phone, and then I'm switching to my tablet. Okay, so I'm going to open it up with a poem that touches my heart. I think that a friend of mine from DC, and those of you who are in DC, like Lasita and my soul sister Leah, the wonderful people I've met there. When I sit and I think of what my life would be like without them, I don't know that. I mean, I'm a strong lady, and yeah, Iron Woman, as a man that I hear about called me, Iron Woman can get through many things, but getting through cancer is not something that's a walk in the park. It
So
involves.
we need to explain to Sanam that we're not talking about the District of
Yes, no, I'm
Columbia.
going to tell her right now. Daily challenge.
I was gonna ask because I thought Lucita was in a different area of the countries, but.
Totally.
Yeah,
Right.
she's from New Mexico.
And
My
Leia's,
sister.
Leia's in Wales. So
Yeah, I
none
was
of us
surprised.
live in DC.
Ah,
You're right.
Yeah,
DC is Daily Connections. It was a group of people that used to get together. It was a group that centered on health, etc. But it was a group that was like a family. It brought family
Yeah.
together. I made like the best friends I ever made in my life. So, and all of these people really encouraged me. I remember a former friend from DC who used to go through, whenever I went through chemo, she would call me and she would be my chemo buddy. Now, what does that tell you? My friend Terry Ballard and all of you who are in Daily Connections, you want to look up that group.
Actually, I think it was originally called Daily Challenge.
Or Daily Challenge. I thought it was Daily Connections, but it doesn't matter. It's just a wonderful, wonderful group of people who really care. I met Lucita.
my God.
Just look at the people I met. I met Lucita. I met Leah, who is my soul sister. I met so many people through that group and people who really, really care and who went through chemo with me through their thoughts and through their prayers. Now, when we think about cancer, we think of, oh my God, that poor victim. It's not only the victim, it's the victim's family. It's the victim's friends. I spoke to my girlfriend, Fran, who I went through cancer with her, and she got it through the World Trade Center. And she said there isn't a day that she wakes up in the morning where she doesn't worry that it's back, because that's something that never leaves you. It doesn't leave your mind. It might leave your body for a while, but it comes back for another visits most of the time. And she thought about it. I said to her, it's not only that it can affect brothers, sisters, it can affect anybody. They can either have it. I unfortunately, Mom and Dad, I love you wherever you are, but they gave me a very bad gene pool. My father had cancer. He had the worst kind of cancer. He had multiple myeloma. I watched him die half of the size that he was when he first started. My mother had kidney cancer, and because she was older, when she got it, it slowly grew. She didn't die of cancer. She died of a heart attack. My brother had cancer. We won't even discuss him. And of course, we were going to get, my cousin had bladder cancer. And you know what? It's in the family. So what are your odds of not getting? My aunt had lung cancer and died immediately from it. So the cancer that I have, not that it's any gift from God, but it's not the worst kind that it could be. So, but I was sitting and I was thinking about it. And you know what? It could be anybody. You could sit across the train from somebody and you could just sit there and think, oh my God, you don't know what this guy has, what that guy has. And to me, having cancer is a way, my doctor got absolutely hysterical because he thinks I'm nuts anyway. It's a way to help other women see that it's not like the scarlet letter. It's not a label that kills off your life. It's something that can help you. And Tofik will show you the video that I made with my doctor. It's something that, because I presented the book to him and that we wrote, Ringing the Bell, which to me is one of the most beautiful books I've ever written. Next to Homeless Hotel 2, which I wrote alone without anybody else's help. To me, Ringing the Bell was the most significant book I ever wrote, and Body Shaming. Now, did you send Lucita the guidebook, Tofik?
I will send it when we finish the
I want her
meeting.
to have
Please,
it.
email.
I want her to have it. She'll
Yeah.
love that. My point is that it could be anybody. It could be a sister. It could be a brother. You can't think only. You have to think of the other person. I'm just going to start with this poem. There are a few that really touch my heart, and it has nothing to do with World Hunger Day. It does have to do with world. It has to do with poverty. It has nothing to do with cancer, I meant to say, but it does have to do with we have to care enough to help even a stranger. Whether or not he's your brother is not important. He could be your brother, sitting on the train with eyes so sad. The world dealt him a terrible hand, the worst one could have had. Yet we ignore his cries. He isn't our problem. People like him we despise. He could be your brother. Displaced at a young age, filled with embarrassment, full of rage, afraid to meet eye to eye. Yet we ignore him. We walk on by. He could be your brother. We ask ourselves, how did we get this way? We blame it on alcohol. Did he ask to go astray? Who would want to live like this? Homelessness is not bliss. He could be your brother. Perhaps his family wasn't willing to take him back. When Papa knocks on your door, so much do you lack. Yet he is out there every single day. Is anyone willing to help him find his way? He is like no other. Realize he could be your brother. Anybody that you are, anybody that you, whether you know them or you don't know them, can be walking around poor and hungry. And have never done this before because you're only used to my poetry. I also write poetry. Poetry is just a small part of me. It's not what I live for. I'm just going to read a little story and then I'm going to turn it over to Tofik, who's going to show you some wonderful work from other people other than Lynn. Okay.
Yeah.
Tofik, I'm not ready yet. I will be in a few minutes. And this is a
Okay.
story told. He could be your brother. I'm going to make it as quickly as I can. Bayron family was all about business and work. There were not a lot of family functions, nor was there a lot of closeness between parents and siblings. Mike Mayron was a stockbroker. Numbers were more important than family. Melanie, his wife, was a society lady. They had a son and a daughter. The daughter lived in Europe and hardly ever called her parents. Their son, Eugene, was disowned years ago because he refused to become an investment counselor in his father's business. Eugene became a professor at Columbia University. That wasn't good enough for his father. He had a small apartment near the university. He had supported himself for a long time. He had many friends and was beloved by the students in Columbia University. One day, while walking on campus, a man carrying an assault rifle, and this could happen in New York any day, started shooting. Eugene tried to protect the students, but to no avail. The assault rifle was stronger than he was. He managed to call the police, who came instantly. He saved many lives that day. One of his students, Willie Morgan, was injured. He went with his students to the hospital. Willie and his sister were innocent bystanders. They were both in the line of fire. Their parents were similar to Eugene's. They wanted them to attend an Ivy League college. They basically disowned them. Eugene notified them that they were in no rush to come home. That week, every newspaper wanted to interview Eugene. He spoke to a reporter from the New York Times. He was labeled as a hero. Eugene realized that Willie and his sister had no one to turn to. He visited them at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital almost every day. His sister had superficial wounds. Willie was paralyzed. There was no one to help him. Eugene and 4 of his friends formed a nonprofit organization and partnered with the Homeless Coalition. And that's because of Sanam, because Sanam just mentioned the Homeless Coalition. Partnered with the Homeless Coalition. He had served in many soup kitchens. They all knew him. The nonprofit was called He Could Be Your Brother. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, gave him the key to the city. After everyone read about how Eugene tried to save his students, donations started to flow. They opened a group home for paralyzed and the homeless. After all of the interviews, they were set. They had social workers, doctors, and nurses volunteering. Eugene volunteered every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was 1 hour away from the city. It was a cheerful place, unlike New York shelters. No one minded being there. Those who eventually were strong enough to leave would continue to give service to show their gratitude. One Sunday morning, Eugene was having a conversation with one of the therapists. He heard the front door open. To his shock, there stood his parents. He took them into his office. They told him how proud they were of him. He didn't get up to embrace them. They disowned him, and now they're back because his son was a hero and he could make them look good. He told them what he thought of them as parents. They were apologetic, but they were talking to deaf ears. He wanted nothing to do with them. His father handed him an envelope. Inside was a sizable check, which he accepted to help their own kids. Now they could help other kids. He was glad that he didn't let them change their attitudes, didn't let their attitude change him from being the person he was supposed to be. He thought of Martin Luther King and remembered what he said about helping others and Mother Teresa. When he volunteered at soup kitchens, his students joined him. Then he got the funding to open up his own. From a selfish family, he came such a long way. He was giving so others could be living. My point is, and the reason I read this story to you, my point is that anyone, it could be me, it could be Lasita, it could be Sanam, Lord knows she's active enough in New York. It could be any human being. Anyone can do something like this. Anyone go like Sanam and Lynn do, and Tofik. Could go to a soup kitchen and say, I'm here.
Lynn, you muted yourself.
That we are just not vacuums. We are here. God put us on this earth. Of course, Hashem put us on this earth, I believe, to not to help ourselves, but to help others. Martin Luther King's, what he said years ago, and I have to tell you, it's my favorite quote is, at the end of the day, ask yourself, don't ask yourself, how's my life? Is it successful? Blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the exact words. Ask yourself, what are you doing to help others? And I've tried to pride myself. I've tried to build my life on that. And that's how I became a member of New York Cares. And that's why I'm so proud of people like Sanam and people like Leah. She's done, I don't think she's ready to talk, but she's done a lot of stuff where she lives in going out to thrift shops, helping people. And Lord knows she's helped me more than she'll ever know. So to me, it's people, and Sanam giving, and Lasita, who gives to every charity she can possibly give to, even though she isn't the richest lady in the world. It's people like Lasita and people like everybody sitting here that give. Now, my husband came here, and when he came here, he was a wonderful man. He was always wonderful, but he didn't know that much about giving. It didn't take him that long after I dragged him to every place that I actually give my time to see how beautiful giving it, what giving is all about. And he does a lot of stuff. He did soup kitchens when the chemo took over and I couldn't do any more soup kitchens. He went to the soup kitchens that I used to go to and he took over there. He went to other soup kitchens because he wanted to, because already it was in his heart and in his blood. So all I'm saying, it does. And my problem with World Food Day, and I love World Food Day, but my problem with World Food Day is it should be 364 days a year. It's not only on 365th, which is the World Food Day. It should happen every day of the week. Now, Tofik, I'm going to leave on my phone and I'm going to enter on the tablet because I can't see Leah. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so give me a minute. Don't change me in, and the rest of the meeting will be yours. Just give me a minute. I'm leaving.
Sure. I will post the video now so every lady can watch it. Okay. This video I took it without the permission of Mylene because she didn't want any stuff on, it's kind of privacy. But I did it because I love my lady. And look at this beautiful lady who, despite her,
Hello, I'm back.
Despite her suffering, having cancer for the second time, this beloved Lynn, okay, let's see.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of the meeting is Tofik's. I wanted to show you the wonderful, wonderful work that he did with the website. You see, the point is, and that's true. He has done so much. I don't see Leah. You told me to come in on this, and I came in on the big thing.
Leah, you can just scroll to the left, and you will see her because the screen has only 4 ladies on the screen.
Okay,
but
go ahead, Tofik.
Okay, watch
Tofik, the meeting is yours.
Watch the baby.
And Leah is not on video. That's why.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, watch my baby.
His baby. Watch his baby.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. What am I watching?
The video is on.
I don't see it.
Can everyone see it?
No, it's not playing.
It's not on,
Oh,
Sophie. I know
I
I'm not.
see
sorry.
like a share screen, but exactly, there's nothing playing at
It's
the.
playing on my, it's playing on my side.
Well, it's not playing on
Okay.
ours.
Okay, let me
He made a
see.
slideshow, which is absolutely magnificent. Which I really, really love.
Mhm. Can you see it now?
Nope.
Okay, there's a problem with the, you know.
Okay, let's forget that.
So I will.
Maybe they, Lynn, can I ask one question?
You can
Yes.
ask for.
And anyone can offer this. I've heard many people, I don't know if you guys have listened to it. I haven't listened to it completely, but Anderson Cooper has a podcast about grief. And one of the things that I think
I
people
love Anderson Cooper. I
Mhm.
love
I think there's a lot you know, a lot to be learned. And one of the things that people usually say is that, you know, if we're a friend, a family member, a coworker and whatnot, how do we best, and I struggle with this too, because sometimes you don't know what to do or say. There was
Exactly.
someone, she, you know, like you don't want to be as someone, as a friend or a coworker or whatnot, you don't want to be imposing, but you don't, sometimes people don't want to be, you know, there's like, and I think the issue becomes it's individual, you know, so like, for example, there was someone who mentioned, I think and it was a celebrity, but they lost someone close to them. And they were saying that, you know, we want to talk about them. You know, you can bring them up. We want to talk about
Of
it.
course,
You know,
course.
like, you don't have to feel like you're stepping on eggshells or treading on eggshells, as they say, you know, you know, tread carefully, you know, there's no right or wrong in it, I think. And I think sometimes we are very, you know, so we're hesitant, and that comes off as something that it's not. Like sometimes people can think that it's, you know, oh, just indifference or whatnot, and it can be more of just not knowing what to do. And I wanted to get everyone's, like, you know, like what do you guys recommend? What have you guys found helpful in supporting others? You know,
Well,
like,
I can tell you when I went through it, I really appreciated what I got from Daily Challenge, Daily Connection, whatever. I appreciated the words of wisdom. I appreciated the calls while I was taking chemo. I appreciated the people who wished me luck. I appreciated the people who wrote words of encouragement. I didn't appreciate the people who shied away and were afraid to talk to me. And I try to explain to them that it isn't contagious. So if you don't say anything, it's so much worse. When you say something about it, you're showing you care. And you could say something like, I really don't know what to say, but that shows you care enough to think.
Yeah.
You care enough to be a part of it. There's somebody that I really, really, oh boy, really cared about.
Mhm.
My girlfriend Fran, who lives in right now she's living in New Jersey. She went through cancer.
Mhm.
And she was
By the way, she is the one who recommended Lena's doctor,
yeah, Dr.
oncologist, to
Okay.
Lynn, because
She lives in New Jersey,
Mhm.
and she used my doctor and she recommended him. I told her I could never
Yeah.
forget the
Yeah,
gift that she gave me.
Mhm.
yeah.
She told me when she like I said, every morning she wakes up and she wonders, is it back? And I understood that. So last night I spoke to her about it. And she said, we'll do like we did before. We'll go through it together. And I think that's what it's all about. I have friends that have gone through it, and I've gone through it with them by just a few words, not not necessarily being there, because if you're across the country, it can't be a chemo partner. And chemo is not a wedding or a celebration.
You can have one person with you. And my luck with the first
Yeah.
time, it's not really luck. It just shows you Lynn Lady Luck, I call myself. COVID was here and they didn't allow anybody in with you. So I had to face it alone, which made me a stronger person. I think if Tofik had been there every single week when I had the chemo, I would be more dependent on him.
Mhm.
And I would, oh, gee, I can go through it alone. You know what? It's so much easier when somebody is there with you, when somebody sends you a message, and when somebody says, gee, I care. Or when somebody says, I'm thinking about you. So just, I'm thinking about you. 4 words, and that's it. It doesn't have to be like I got a message yesterday, I think it was yesterday, from my friend Basita, who had just learned that I had to go through this again. A beautiful, beautiful message, just a sentence or two that touched my heart, because Lasita is very special to me. But even if she wasn't special to me, just those few words that I'm sorry you have to go through it again meant more to me than anything else. That's just my.
Lasita words are, she's a healer. I
Yo,
mean,
well, we know that Lasita is a healer. She's a
Mhm.
carer. It's more
How
important. She
you put it,
cares. She
you know,
It
loves.
seems that is, she has that aura, you know.
That's right.
yeah, yeah.
And you
Yeah.
want to be in general in life, but especially when you're going through tough times, you want to be around that, I think, you know, like they
Yeah.
always say, you know, people who are, you know, they have their wits about them, their focus, they don't, you know, completely lose, because you don't want someone to hear something and then just start crying or, you know,
No,
get upset and stuff.
no.
And sometimes, you know, it's difficult because, you know, if you bring up something, you like, if you're going through it and you bring up something, you don't want to bring other people down. You don't want them to get upset.
It's okay to share your feelings, even if they're sad. I had my cousin who called me up, and when she heard I had cancer, all she did was cry for 20 minutes. I love the fact that she cared so much. That's the difference. I love the fact that she cared so much. And what did she do? She came here. She took me out to dinner. She said, "I'm going to do it before your chemo, so I can make sure you can have dinner with us." The other night she came here, and I was very sick the other night because I was feeling sick to my stomach. She brought me this special cake, which may I say Tofik enjoyed too. And that's supposed to relieve nauseousness. I ate too
Yeah.
much of it, therefore I really became nauseous. But that's not neither here nor there. She did something so sweet because she wanted. It's okay to cry in front of somebody. I'm so sorry that you have this, and Lord knows I've done it with my friend Fran. I mean, I've done it with a lot of people that I know that I love, because you have to show compassion, and you know, if you
Yeah.
love somebody, they understand. If you do nothing,
Yeah.
then you're not showing you care.
Right. I think actually
Yeah.
this relates to the fact that I lost a job as a hospice volunteer because
Oh, wow.
I talked about crying with my patients. And the person who ran the hospice volunteer program said that there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. And if
Yes.
you're crying with your patient, it's sympathy, as if sympathy is a bad thing. Anyway, I can't
imagine.
I still can't get it. It was like, well, if you feel
How's
like
that possible?
crying, then it's honest. You cry.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong.
You know,
Right.
I think that because in nursing, they teach you that as well. Like, for
Right.
example, you know, it's a similar role, maybe, you know, the compassionate element of it. And I think, like, if, for example, you as a nurse or you as a volunteer are helping someone, for example, I know unfortunately a number of people who they may have suffered a miscarriage or something along those lines.
Right.
And if you know someone, or you yourself as a nurse or a volunteer have gone through this, then you might wonder, well, I don't want to, you know, fall apart or, you know, because in that role as a nurse, you know, you're supposed to keep your, ideally, right, you're supposed to keep composure, because if you don't, then you, first of all, like, the lines may be blurred that they want and that's very difficult. I think, especially, you know, if you see a patient on a repeated basis, like if they're in a if they are in a hospice, or if they're going through several rounds of treatments and so forth, you know, you don't, I think there's an element of, first of all, like if I was the patient, I would find comfort in knowing someone else
Exactly.
has suffered through that. But you know, it becomes a little bit different, I think. I think, yeah, I understand their point, but at the end of the day, some people as a patient, they may want that emotional
Well, I think that they
vulnerability,
probably do. The
Sure.
connection is very
you
important.
know? Based on what I can tell from Lisita, she would be a wonderful
she's
worker there,
amazing.
so I don't understand why.
She's
you know,
amazing at everything she does. So, you know,
Mhm.
she's comforting. She's very comforting.
For sure, yeah, like I
Actually, I don't feel very competent. And I actually want to share about the fact that I have a very close friend, my next door neighbor in my community, who has been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia.
Oh my God.
I know. And
Well,
it's she's spending a whole month in the hospital in Albuquerque, which is a significant drive away for us. And so I was thinking of, well, what can I do for her? And I started sending articles, thinking
Wonderful.
if she has interesting things to read, like there's one about trans people in the Wild West, and she's a queer person herself. I thought she'd be interested in that. So if I think every day of an article, maybe that will help.
I think that's a wonderful idea. I really do. I think that,
you
and
guys
tell her
have,
to
like, people can send like
Podcast.
daily motivations and everything like
Right.
that. Yeah.
and podcasts. There's some inspirational podcasts that she could watch that might be helpful. I mean, when you watch people who are important, I personally don't care about important people, but if you watch people who are important, like Katie Couric or other people sharing what they went through when you're going through it, sometimes it helps. You don't feel so alone. And I think that that's an important thing too. Now, I want to just talk for 1 minute about a very special friend of mine. Do you think that special people are people that you see all the time? I have lots of special people that I see, but I never met a woman in person. Once again, we're going back to Daily Connection Daily Challenge. My friend Leah, my soul sister, and she is a soul sister.
Oh, the beautiful
Yes.
lady.
Yeah, my friend
So
Leah
kind.
came down. My friend Leah came down with a sickness, and she sent me through WhatsApp a thing that you're not going to be able to reach me, blah blah blah, and I'm sick and I can't really talk, and I didn't care. Not that I didn't care, I cared more than anything in the world, but I didn't care whether she wanted me to reach her or not. I didn't give up trying to reach her,
Yeah.
and I saw her coming back a little more all the time. And she is my joy. She is by far, if I had to, well, I have so many, but if I had to pick somebody very special in my life who I've never seen, mind you, this is all online, I would pick my friend Leah, because she has given me so many words of wisdom, even when I feel, because she sees both sides of me. She doesn't see the side sitting here being encouraging. She sees what the good, the bad, and the ugly. She's been there for me when I'm up, and she's been there for me when I'm down. You don't give up on people like that, because Leah is 1 in a million. And when you find special people, like the people sitting here right now, you don't need 500 special people. You need quality, you need caring, and like you said, Sanam, encouragement. I think encouragement is the most important thing in the world. Now, I have been watching, and I heard something, and I think this is basically for Lucita and Lynn, because we're the 2 Jewish members here. Last night, I watched my favorite man in the world. Don't get upset, Tofik. Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi
Yeah.
Hassan is on MSNBC. He's a newscaster. He
I love Mehdi,
is-
so
Oh,
I
okay,
don't
yeah.
care if you love him.
Is
He's such a
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, last night he spoke about Donald Trump. You know my love for
Mhm.
him. Leah's
and he
love-
talks about anti-Semitism too.
Oh, yeah, and he's saying to everybody how terrible the Jews are and stuff
Yeah.
like. He talked about how somebody like him shouldn't be able to get away with stuff like that. Then he also spoke about Iran and the women.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have there. I mean, he covers everything.
By
because
the
he
way,
himself.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
By
go
the
ahead.
way,
So
before we finish, I want Sanam to tell us what the situation right now in
yeah,
Iran,
I'm
but
leaving
not
it.
now.
I'm giving
I am.
attention
We,
to the
we are
video.
so concerned about these beautiful
Terrible.
countries, those people, Persian people. I'm not, saying that Persians or Arabs or Kurds, but in general, these people in Iran are well educated and they have a great civilization. That's why when I see what's happening now, not from a religion part, no, they are the most thoughtful people, those Persians. So later on, when we before we finish, I wanna Sister Sanam to tell us what's going on right now in Iran. I'm sorry, Lynn. Go ahead.
No, I'm finished with what I had to say. I
Yeah,
want to hear
yeah,
about this. I think that, and I think that that's the magical thing about Saving Soul Women's Network.
yeah,
I don't give a damn where you come from, as long as we're trying to help people. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that might actually be. I've been looking for one thing to protest after I promised Gordon that I would not protest the day of the meeting, of the UN meeting. But I'm definitely going to protest this because I think that after Saddam tells us a little more, I think that what's happening in Iran is by far the most horrifying thing that it could happen to anybody, any woman,
Oh my God.
anyway. Okay, take it away, Saddam.
Go ahead.
Sure. Well, again, with the caveat that, me being here, I hate to, act as a definitive source, but definitely, it I think is continuing, in terms of the resistance, and there was, I believe, Friday, Saturday, some sort, and it's again very hard to know what's true and what's not, but a fire at one of the more notorious prisons
Yeah.
in Tehran, where there are many intellectuals, artists,
Oh yeah.
political prisoners held, and so forth, and that
Mhm.
tends to be a turning point in a lot of
Who,
ways.
who you think
I
did that fire? The authorities or the protesters? Who did that fire?
Well, there is a debate about it and disagreement. I don't know how much we can really know for sure and know what is true for sure.
Mhm.
It seemed quite chaotic by the video clips, and I saw clips of what appeared to be traffic around the area, the neighborhood of the family members trying to get there. I
Oh
will
my
say
God.
I was very heartened because, I think it is complicated. I don't think it is just an issue of religion or hijab. And I think there was one person who I was very happy that they, and I don't agree with everything they said, and that's okay. But they were saying, even if someone wants to follow, for example, the head covering in that fashion and so forth, there is, based on what he was saying, there's no school of thought or structure or framework that would justify the violent manhandling and aggressiveness and so forth
Terrible.
against these people, and I'm seeing more and more of that among And, you know, and he was very careful in the sense that, you know, putting aside any political issues, you know, just from a human
Got
rights
you.
and religious perspective, you know. And I think that, you know, unfortunately, a little bit there, it was interesting that President Obama in a podcast, he recently said that apparently he views it now in retrospect, and a hindsight is always like this, right?
Right.
Where in 2009, he viewed it as a mistake to not have supported the green movement there more. And, you know, I think that it's interesting, there's a documentary from the Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, called The Fog of War. And he actually was the World Bank president for about 15 years after he left the Johnson administration. And, you know, they asked him, you know, why didn't you speak out more? Do you regret? Do you feel guilty? And, you know, at the end of the day, I think he just said, you know, I'm proud of my accomplishments. We all make mistakes. And, you know, there was never any per se admission of responsibility, but I think in many ways, he felt you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't in some ways. And maybe I think American policy is sort of like that. I see a lot of Iranians, at least here, posting and commenting, you know, for Joe Biden to do something, to do that. But what is not clear, you know, what comes next or what should be done is a little bit unclear. I think I think many are against many Iranian Americans seem to be against the United States rejoining the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, for whatever that's worth. And, you know, to be honest, I think a lot maybe has changed, that President Biden him and his administration may put a pause on those efforts. I'm not sure. But, you know, at the end of the day, right or wrong, human rights, unfortunately, does not dictate everything in our policy. There's a lot of countries that we have business with and we deal with that have pretty terrible records, unfortunately. But, you know, it's interesting that this generation in Iran is the one that kind of, you know, there's no timidness, I think, among them, which is pretty inspiring. Like people who are
I love it.
maybe my age or so, they were like, you know, we felt the same way, but we would have never, like those who were in Iran that grew up there, even from my generation, my age group, feel, you know, we didn't have the bravery of these, you know, high school and college kids now. So
Yeah. Because they're saying what Iran got from since 1979, they got nothing. They just, from the first day they took the power in Iran, only attacking and, you know, harming and interfering on other countries. First, they said that we should export, I don't know if this word is correct, export our revolution to others. Look what they did. First, Iraq, the war with Saddam Hussein regime first. Maybe 12 years of...
How about Afghanistan?
About Afghanistan. And they even interfered in the war which was between Armenia and Kazakhstan. And guess what? Iran has Shiite. I mean, their belief is Shia. Okay, so, and in Kazakhstan, listen, look the evil part of Iran. Most of people in Kazakhstan are supposed to be Shia. This word I'm not, I can't say the real word. They are different. They were, emotionally with Iran, Kazakhstan,
Mhm.
and Armenia, the other country who is in war with Kazakhstan, is supposed to be anti-Iran, anti-religion in general. And look what did Iran in this war. They supported Armenia instead of Kazakhstan. My point is that they don't care. They act about
Mhm.
a political belonging, not the religion. And they did that in Bahrain, in the Gulf. They have a lot of Shia there. They did that in Lebanon. They did that in Yemen. And even Morocco, our country, they harm us a lot. Why? Because we have the conflict with Algeria, our Arabic country who is in the borders, and they are evil, harming Morocco. I don't say that because I'm Moroccan, but it's the truth. And the group of terrorists that Algeria is supporting against Morocco, you know what did Iran a long time ago, maybe 20 years? They always furnished and interfere, and they send Iranian Shia, particularly, to train those terrorists with police aerodrome against Morocco. And they didn't stop there. They sent even horrible weapons to those people here in Iran, in Morocco. So my point is that look what they did all over the world. And in contrary, their own people, especially those young, brave young Iranians now, the new generation, they never stop torturing them. And this protestation were not only the first time that Iranian people are revolting against it. It happened almost 10 times before. There were protestations, but all the time, this region, this bullshit, I'm sorry, religious, they say, are killing thousands, 100,000 of innocent Iran. And not only the people who play, intellectuals, people with different belief in religion. In Iran, there were only Shia people. There were Sunnis, Arabs, Kurds, and all those minorities are daily persecuted and by this regime. So my point is that it's not Iran regiment or government. They didn't start this only in this position that we're seeing now, but a long time ago, since 1979. And do you remember historical politics? Once the Iranian got their revolution in 1971, you know what the first thing they did? They went to American embassy in Iran, and they I don't have the word in English, but they treated American diplomats in the American embassy. And they did that for almost 3 years. Can you imagine this? They're
Yes.
not just politicians, they are evil around the world. So now, in my opinion, their time is going down. They will be
I hope so.
defeated in any reason, not only politically, but they bring devil and they kill people, not only in Iran, but all over the world. And this is really so sad to hear those young Iranians who are killed every day. I guess the killed
Yeah.
people now are over 200. Even the authorities said 100, but it's happening there, and we can see that. They even cut the internet all over Iran, but they couldn't do it because there were satellites. People have other means to, broadcast what happens in Iran right now. So all I can say is let's pray for those innocent
You have to
kids
pray
who
for
are
everybody
protesting.
because there are a lot of
Pray
people
for
all over the
everybody,
world.
but this regime is the most terrorist regime in the world.
Okay,
And
thank you,
it's hard.
Sophie.
It's hard.
Thank you. Okay, I wanted to tell Sanam something before I forget. You will never believe this in a million years. I get up to write between 4 o'clock, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning. And today I got up to watch, I think it was 7 o'clock this morning. I stayed up between 3 and 7. And then on 7:30, I went back to sleep. I watched News One, which is Channel 8. And they were discussing the volunteer of the month. Every month they have a volunteer. You will never believe who was on there. Patrick McGuire from OBT.
I
You
did,
remember
yes.
You
yes.
saw it?
Yeah.
How
Well,
cool
you know,
is
I don't know if I saw it recently. I know this is,
God's love
I
was
think
delivered?
maybe a year or two before COVID. Because me and Patrick, we had worked
Oh, I love
at
him.
Lenox Hill and other,
Love
very,
him.
yes, yeah, no, he's great. He's great. And the psychiatric clinic at Payne Whitney at New York Presbyterian.
Right. He
And
does
he
have
had done, all of a sudden at Lenox Hill, there was a I'm sorry, a television screen playing, I think, that program, and it would highlight a volunteer of the week from one
which
of
I
the
think is
boroughs.
wonderful.
He does a lot of work, and he still does, I think. I haven't,
Yeah, he was on
I haven't talked to him recently
He
per se,
never
but
once, and you know what? He never once spoke about a family, meaning wife or children. And let me finish. He never spoke about a wife or children. Then today on the news, they said that he's busy. He lives with his parents and he's busy helping them. So in between the volunteerism, and now this is just what to show everybody that when we get out of our comfort zone, and when we get out there and we help anybody, not just people of our country or anything else, when we help anybody, I think that if I had to start today, if I had to go out and plan a protest, which I won't do till the day after the UN action that we're going to have, after the UN meeting, because they'll kill me. If I were about to start a protest, it would be, and I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody here says, it would be about the women from Iran or abortion, because who's going to tell me what to do with my body? Those would be the two. Those are the two biggies. And that's why if I am sick to my stomach with cancer and I'm crawling on the floor, I will get to the polls on that election day, because if we don't fight those terrible Republicans, we aren't going to, and I said, I'm not going to become political. I don't care. If we don't fight the Republicans, we don't stand a chance. We can't, I mean, we can worry about other countries. Yes, we can have compassion for what's going on in Iran. Yes, we can have compassion for what's going on in Morocco. Yes, we can have compassion for what's going on anywhere, but we must have compassion for what's going on in the United States. And if a woman, or even if a girl of 10 years old is raped, and they're told that she can't have an abortion and her father raped her, what does that tell you? It tells you got to get off your ass. Sorry, nobody's going to see this except for us, so I don't care. You got to get off your ass, and you've got to fight this damn system that we have, which sucks. And because of Governor Abbott, that piece of shit, forgive me, because like I said, only people that I love are sitting here. And that other pig DeSantis from Florida, I don't understand why somebody didn't take a gun and shoot those two bastards. I cannot imagine. They're sending immigrants here, and I'm going to get crazy. My husband is an immigrant. I'm going to get nuts. Yeah, but we pay to get people in here the right way. They're taking these people in, which I agree that we have to help, but they're not helping the hungry. How about the homeless? They're not helping our own people. How about helping our own people first, then be generous about taking people in? That's it. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
So, Nam, how do you feel about that?
I will say this, that, you mentioned the election. I was reading that with respect to the governor's race, Lee Zeldin is making quite a bit of ground. I think a lot of,
We should shoot ourselves if he gets in. He's a Trumpster.
I think a lot of people, because of the concern regarding crime.
Oh, big deal.
they-
What about, he's the one who voted against abortion. I mean, I can't, he voted against abortion, that even if you're raped, you shouldn't be allowed to get an abortion. How do you live with that?
No,
Yeah,
no.
These
And for it to be close to New York is quite something, I think, in terms of what that kind of indicates about it. But again, you know, I'm not saying, to be honest, Kathy Hochul is doing whatever job she's
It's
doing.
not so great either.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes, like, you know, we're only given two choices, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
And
I'd like to put in another name there. It wouldn't be either of theirs. You could be sure of it.
you know, I wonder, and I'm trying to figure out what, you know, what route we can take in terms of you know, having a third party. But I will say, we're not the only ones that are having trouble. I will say that in Britain, the prime minister is about to, I think, also go again, like, even though they just recently,
Right.
like, since the Queen died, I think the day before or something,
Having plenty of problems there.
they're having a lot of problems.
Salam, who
Yes.
is the prime minister? Who is the prime minister right now in UK?
Liz Truss.
A lady?
Yeah, and
Yes.
she's a Tory. And
Okay.
I mean, but Boris Johnson, the previous prime minister, is
right,
more
another
to
winner.
blame for the problems than she could be held responsible. It's more like circumstantial. She inherited the mess.
Well, that's what happens. Somebody walks in, like Joe Biden walked in and he inherited Trump's mess. I couldn't, in my right mind, without wanting to shoot myself first, vote for somebody who was related to Trump or who Trump endorsed. The minute I hear the word Donald Trump, I can't. He's against Jews. Then he put that
Yeah.
other jackass, Kim Kardashian's ex-husband, whatever he's calling himself today, who went on this whole tirade of, I think Saddam was laughing. This
About the name thing, but yeah, Yay,
Oh
I
my
guess
God,
people call him Yay
Kanye,
now. But yeah.
Kanye go to the East and leave us alone. Kanye West, now we have to think about Jews. The Black Hope, he has to sing against Jews.
And
And he
Muslims,
goes on
too.
his
He's
whole-
against Muslims. Since the day he was elected, he was against Muslims too, not only Jews or migrants.
Now,
He
and
ever-
Jews are the most, and I'm not going to go into this with you again, Mr. Esadicki, because we've had this last night. I just went through a poll. According to my favorite man, if he came into my house, I would kiss his feet. Mehdi Hassan,
Yeah.
Jews are the most persecuted people in this world today. Jews.
In US.
Well,
Mhm.
I mean, I live in the US, and my mind is not in another country. I have compassion for other countries, but I live in the US. It is disgusting how synagogues are being disgraced. I don't know. We're going back to the time of Hitler. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. I don't have to think of course, yes, I do think of Iran, and yes, I will protest, but I do not have to think about any country right now other than the United States, because this is where I live. I can't believe we're not living in a third world country, but look what is going on here.
It's a wild world.
It's a horrible world that we're living in. And I feel sorry for anyone who is young, like Sanam, who has to grow up in a world like this, who is already grown up, but she has a mouth. And the one thing I have the hopes for Sanam is that she will be a leader and she will fight some of this garbage. Because to tell us that we can't have an abortion and that women have to go to another state, if they were raped, they have to go to another state to have the baby removed. Now, I'm not a strong, understand. Let me go down on paper as saying, and I can be quoted tomorrow and disagree, but let me go down on paper as saying that I really, 108, I was raised a Jew, I will die a Jew. And I believe in my religion and I love Hashem. But I do not fully believe that. I think you should learn first about a little bit of abstinence, then worry about getting these women who have 3 or 4 abortions in like 6 months. There's a problem with that. But if somebody is raped and the police accuse that person of her manner of dress, I say castrate the rapist. That's what I say. I become like a belligerent, horrible person when I'm talking about rape. Because a friend of mine, many years ago, I'm not mentioning names, was raped. I accompanied her to the police station. I almost got arrested. This is a story I never told Tofik. I accompanied her to it's one of my many arrests, who cares? I accompanied her to the police station, and the guy said to her, she was wearing she didn't want to go. She didn't want to go to the police station. I had just come from a rally about, this shows you how long ago, hydrofracking. I had one of those kerchiefs on my back with the thing tied, back, because I just wanted to be comfortable. My hair was longer then. And we walk into the police station. She's wearing something that wasn't really low cut. It was just suggestible. And the guy turns around and says to her something about, was this what you were wearing when this happened? I turned around. I went absolutely apeshit. That's the only way I could put it. I said, who the hell are you to ask? Does your wife tell you what she's going to wear before she goes out? Look, I missed being arrested by maybe a half an inch. And I went through this crazy tirade about, how do you tell somebody how to dress? Castrate the bastard. And I went through this whole thing. What are you doing about the rapist? You're going to catch the rapist? Well, as luck had it, they did catch him. And he did go away. That's not my point. Immediately, women who are supposedly the victims and are the victims, women who are the victims, oh, what is she wearing? Look at the Columbia rape. I was part of the Columbia. I don't think I told this to Tofik either. He'll hear all the scandals in my life. When the time of the Columbia, on Columbia campus, I think 19 people were raped, 2 of which were men. 19 people were raped. Letitia James, who was a public advocate at the time, asked me if I would write a book. And I wrote a book called Save the Children. And it was all about rape. It was about rape. How dare you ask what I'm wearing? How about and Lorena Bobbitt is like, forget it. I want nobody else to see this but my dearest friends who are sitting here right now. Lorena Bobbitt, who cut it off, her husband's you know what, she's a hero to me. Because how dare you ask the woman, what are you wearing? When the pig of a man raped the woman. I cannot understand the kind of society, and I don't believe it. I'm not a strong believer in abortion in many ways, but I believe a woman has the right when she was raped to decide whether or not she has an abortion. And a 10-year-old kid, when I read this the other day, I was like, I must be reading wrong. So I read it 4 times. What do you think of that, Sanam? That the 10-year-old can't get an abortion. How do you like that?
I think there's a lot of tragedy. There was, I think I want to say it between Ohio and Illinois.
Right.
There was a case where that happened recently. There's no great part of that story, to be honest.
Horrible.
And at that age, it's quite tragic.
Drama.
I mean, at any age, there's no, it's and the whole notion of victim shaming or blaming and so forth. I think unfortunately, I think the Me Too and the Time's Up movement has changed some stuff, but I think still and there's definitely facts in every situation that I think need to be addressed, and need to be fully vetted and understood.
How do you understand not letting a 10-year-old? How can you understand that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, in that situation, and what was really strange is that, in one of the scenarios that I think it was around that age group between Ohio and Illinois, I believe there was a suspect that ended up being either a family friend.
Yes, it was.
And the mother was, in a way, and I don't know, I did not read the full extent of the story. But for some reason, the mother was defending the person. I don't know how that happens.
Probably her boyfriend.
It could have. I'm not sure. Yeah. But
How do you defend something like
That's
that? to a
shaming
10-year-old
too, I
girl?
guess, but yeah. No, I,
That I can't defend it. I would kill the guy. If it was my kid, I would absolutely kill him, and I wouldn't care if I went to jail. That's just the way I feel. Nobody should get away with an act like that with a child. And no woman, no matter how, that's why I admire the women of Colombia, because I went there as sort of as as a reporter to see what these women did. And for people like Lasita and Leah, who don't live here, these women from Columbia University, the university told them, wanted to pay their parents to keep it quiet, that they were raped. These women attached, and their parents too, they sued them. They made a lot of money off Columbia. They attached mattresses to their backs, which I just love that drama. And I didn't cause them. One of my friends said, were you responsible? I said, I wish I would have thought of that. They attached mattresses to their backs, because I was a consultant in this. They attached mattresses to their backs and walked around and said, nobody jumps on my mattress. And I just could not get over the drama. And what they accomplished is that, first of all, the administration of Columbia was immediately fired. The parents stepped forward and sued everyone and made a lot of money off them, which is good. The girls all got counseling for free, which they didn't have to pay for, and the boy and the two men. And Columbia became a different place. So Columbia was always a very free, for those who don't know much, like Tofik and Leah and Lasita, Columbia was always very free thinking. But today it's really, it's really out there and open. They say exactly what they think, and that people could come out and do this right off campus, right near the campus. So where was the security? Today, I haven't been there in about 5 years, 6 years, I think. But the last time I tried to go on campus, there was a security guard, but I showed him the book and my name. And he said, oh, yeah, go on in. And I talked to a few people, and they said the security has changed so much. So they had a point to prove. And yeah, they weren't embarrassed about being raped, and that's the one thing I really admired about them. They stepped forward to claim what they wanted. And Letitia James, who was a public advocate at the time, she's now Attorney General. I volunteered for her 3 days a week at the time. She said that she wanted to bring out as much of this as she could. That's why I wrote the book. She wanted people to see how they handled it, because they handled it better than anyone else I've ever seen. They were absolutely amazing. And here we go. And this is what I wanted you to see. Here we see the slide. I hope we can see the slideshow. Here we go.
I see it.
Yeah, here, this is Christine Yakama. Here's a former meeting that we had. Tofik, you want to talk as we go along, because my throat hurts?
No, you can do that. I'm just, this slideshow I just added to the website introduction, because I think that I believe in one pic is worth 1,000 words. So if you can notice,
from Seed to Soup Kitchen, when we were
this slideshow just play automatically when you open the website. And I tried to put all the activities we had, and every Ukrainian, not only African.
For the Ukraine.
We fought about Ukrainian rights to be in peace. We collected a lot of donations from people here in US.
Actually gave them.
I showed the activity that Lynn did during her 11 years being a volunteer. The slideshow, shows also our, this is the school we were, a public school, the only one. How Lynn donated and supported ladies, kids, not only in US, but all around the world, in Africa, in Asia. So this is pic of our activities in Morocco before I come here with my students. This is the book we wrote, the kids wrote in educational and so on. This is
here I am doing
Morocco. She was in Morocco.
I did a women's emancipation dance in Benny Malo.
Yeah, and a part of the book she wrote about immigrants, and Anyway, the slideshow play, and to be brief, when I scroll down, this one is the main video. Lynn talks about our activities and what is the aim of Lynn's Kids, why we do volunteer or help people. We do social work. In this video, you can notice that she spoke about all what is Lynn's Kids organization and what is Saving Souls Women Network. And when we go down, this is a new activity
I
with
love
the Lynn's Kids International Fighting Hunger, especially on World Food Day. So
Fight it every,
yeah, and I
not only on
mentioned
World
that
Food Day.
Lynn's Kids is operational in US and all over the world. Yes, you can see this, and this is
And
the
we
new
have
one.
Hasnain. I want the picture of Hasnain.
Yeah, I'm adding it today because I couldn't get the video. I got it
Mohammed
now.
Hasnain did wonderful work.
Yeah,
I posted it in all over Facebook, so you should see
yeah.
it.
I just got the video.
Bangladesh. What a draw.
Yeah, and this one is the best video because I
Okay, I'm
updated
not
today.
interested in me. We've seen enough of you.
Okay, this one is about Kenya again.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God. I don't know if it works, but I can play it. But anyone who can
They
check
can see
the
it on
website,
Facebook and they can play it.
yeah, you can play that when you got the. And this one is all our volunteer with New Yorkers. Sanam can know about this, and I just invited people to learn about volunteering, and I even
That's wonderful.
mentioned volunteer
We
with our
volunteer
partner.
only with our partners, New Yorkers, because to me,
Yeah.
that organization gave me so many causes to fight for. Like I didn't have enough to begin with,
Yeah.
but it certainly helps.
And of course, I mentioned the people to lend support with donating to the cause, and especially some wonderful people like Lasita in front of us is
We're
now
every
a
month.
monthly donation. She did
And that
every
helps
month.
us with the things
Yeah,
that we're doing.
I want to say something. Some people are quite, confused why we ask for donations. Donations are necessary
Help
to
us with projects. I can explain that. Donations will help us with our Christmas
Yeah,
projects.
anyway, I will stop here and go back because
It's almost 2:00 and people have to go.
Yes, go ahead, baby.
Donations will, I know you have to go. That's why I'm gonna quicken this up.
Yes,
donations
Lasita, you
will-
can. Yeah, last one.
Donate,
Lasita.
Tawfiq, let me
Okay.
finish.
go ahead.
Donations will help us to collect toys for the children and you don't have to donate money. You can, if you live in New York, you can give a toy. Or
Yeah,
and we're gonna do a whole drop around Tawfiq is, because I won't be in the ship, and maybe Sanam can help him. We're going to do a whole toy drop in Manhattan where we go to different areas where we work. You can do it in the Bronx, Sanam, and we collect toys and then we give it to a place that needs it, like a hospital.
That's
or
wonderful. That's
shelter.
just this morning I
Every
was
year,
doing
every year.
the letter reading for Winter Wishes. We were
Yeah,
doing
no,
that
I
this
do that
morning.
every year too. That's one of my
Yeah,
favorites. I don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
leave my-
And luckily they've been able to transfer it to Zoom rather than the office, but it's a great one. Yeah, similar.
Yeah, so I'm counting on you and I'm to help Tawfiq with the toy drop because I won't be able to, because I can't
Yeah.
won't have the
Thank you.
mobility. But if the two of you, we'll have
Posted,
to things
absolutely.
alone. If the two of you work on this with me, I can tell you what we do. And you could do the Bronx and Tawfiq can do Manhattan and Brooklyn. And we're going to collect, and I see, I can't say anything to Lasita or to my soul sister, but I know what you do in your area. And I know how, and like I said, Lasita is a monthly donor for Lynn's Kids. So she is giving so others can be living. I think that when we do that also, the most important thing to me is the Christmas gifts. Because think of a child who sees other kids getting all these wonderful gifts and they get nothing. That breaks my heart. So going into a hospital, and I think Lenox Hill is another one. They have a wonderful children's center. NYU, which I spend my life in, they have a wonderful children's center. I already spoke to my doctor about it and a couple of weeks ago, and he said he would be only too glad to accept it. And so we have places where we could give it. There's that wonderful hospital in the Bronx that asked me to come and do a reading for the kids. I don't remember the name of it, Sanam, but it was in the Bronx. I can't, it's a big hospital and it was just wonderful.
The Montefiore or Lincoln Hospital?
Lincoln,
Was it
bingo.
Lincoln Hospital?
Yes. Oh, it was about 5 years ago. They asked me to do a reading from one of my books. I wrote a book about fracking. It's a Beautiful World. And that book wasn't one of my favorite books. Nevertheless, everybody loved it because it was against fracking and it was very colorful. There were many wonderful pictures. So I think that whatever we do, and I'm going to make you a little bit more active with this. And as far as the one thing that I know I'm going to try to do, if I can, and I'm going to have Tawfiq be a part of it, is the coat drive. New York Cares coat drive. Not Lynn's kids, New York Cares coat drive. I did that for years. What a wonderful thing to do. You're collecting coats for those who are in need. I used to stand in the middle of Port Authority. Doesn't matter. I've done all this crazy stuff about 8 years ago. When they brought the coats in, we collected it. You know, we were so thankful for anything that they brought. Those are the projects and Winter Wishes. That reminded me. Thank you. Yes, I know it's time. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
time. Before closing, I just invite any one of us. I would choose Sanam to raise hand and pray for Lynn because she will have the first session
Oh, here we go.
for her chemotherapy on Thursday.
Thank you, honey.
I believe in the power of praying. So
So do
if you
I.
don't mind, maybe Sister Sanam, you can say short prayer so we can, wish
Thank
my beloved Lynn
Okay,
a
Tawfiq.
speedy recovery. Go ahead, Sanam. Yeah, thank you.
Dear Lord, keep Lynn healthy, strong, and vibrant and able to complete the work that she wants to do.
Yeah,
Keep her
Ameen.
healthy for all the people that she benefits,
I mean,
and let the cure, the shifa, that's the Arabic word for cure,
Yeah.
be present in the medical treatment that she receives. And let us, as her friends, and Tawfiq as her husband, be able to be the support that she needs to get through this next phase.
thank you.
Thank you, Sanam. Beautiful.
Sanam,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you so
everyone. I have to tell
All
you.
right. Keep us
All right.
posted. Good seeing you, Lisita and Leah.
Lizzie,
Yeah,
wait.
What?
I have to just tell you that in a couple of weeks.
Make packages.
Oh no,
every week?
maybe it's our next meeting.
Okay.
A very important friend of mine, a friend's daughter, who I don't speak to the friend anymore, but I speak to her daughter. We'll be talking about her life as a homeless person and how she has picked up her life and went from living in a car to having 2 jobs, taking care of her children, and surviving drugs. She is going to come on and she's going to speak to us. I don't have a date. Whenever she says yes, I say yes. So that's it. Okay.
I will just mention, Leah just posted in chat. I make packages every week
She
for
does. I
one
know
of
Leah.
our raw sleepers. If a woman, I include hygiene products, good food,
Wonderful.
paper and pen, a book, etc. This was a message
Wonderful.
from Leah.
The best thing you can give any woman is a journal. Okay, everybody, we love you,
Okay.
and we'll see you
Love
in.
you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Tawfiq.
Love you all.
Bye.